Well, here I am, the time traveler, with my enigmatic friend. I will say he says nothing, but he's steadfast. Um, and of course, doesn't require any effort. I have to say, that's a pleasure after years of dogs and cats and whatever. Um, all of which I loved, but it's nice to be relatively carefree with a very simple companion. Uh, it's interesting right now. It's like there's a whole Medicare insurance time to look at your particular coverage and see if everything is working as it should. Um, I started that process myself. I got a little confused. There's basically, of course, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and you can listen to that, and maybe people or have agents they've been buying their insurance. But it is, I can see that it's important to educate yourself and do the best you can. And I really noticed the impact, not the for my existing plan, the renewal was about, I think about 10 or 12, the medical supplement, okay? That was about $20 a month increase. But even though fortunately, so far so good, I don't have a lot of expensive medications or anything like that. Hopefully that will continue. Um, that was double. That premium was actually double the drug supplement. Okay. So then I saw, I have to look it up because I really want to convey these statistics and reiterate them. And as soon as I can figure out how to reference another channel, I will do that, because I just thought it was very interesting to see the statistics involved in the drug portion of the Medicare, package, shall we say. Okay. Billions. Like, I don't, the numbers are so staggering, I went blank. Billions are spent on something like eight uh, drugs that have, kind of that are the standard of care for most of the chronic conditions from which from which the aging population suffers. So there's we're talking billions of dollars. I'm gonna really look that up and reiterate it again in another video. Uh, so what happened, one of the reasons why all there's this to do about, how the federal budget will turn out, is that they have changed the percentage that the government picks up on the medical benefit. In other words, let's just say they spend $100, or collectively the system spends $100. Then the government was paying $80, and then the insurance companies had to figure out, where they were going to get the money, which we already know, which is the policyholders. So at the time, the split was 80-20. So that really, okay, that meant that the premium for the individual were just 20% of the action. Let's put it that way. Okay. So now, since the government has withdrawn their subsidy and they are only paying 80% of the cost has to go to the insurance companies. Now, of course, we know what the insurance companies do. They turn around and amp up the premiums on, and this was specifically discussing the drug plan, which has been hard hit by the high use of very expensive first tier, I don't know, the non-generic, they were proprietary, and that you're paying for it by those medications, because it's really very interesting in terms of our healthcare system and in terms of the cost of healthcare, period, end of story. What it's telling us is that it's getting very, very costly to keep people going with their chronic conditions, all right? Now, uh, it's really wonderful that that could be done, that medical intervention has come to the point where people with long-term chronic conditions can live into real extended lifespans and often have a reasonably good quality of life for a good part of the time. But just like anything, there's a cost basis to it. And with the numbers that we're talking about, I don't know, I hear numbers like 70 million baby boomers or 75 million baby boomers. Well, we're talking a huge cohort of people in the a huge number of people in the cohort. I saw something, that 10,000 people a day in the United States were turning 65 this year, last year, and next year. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a lot of people. So our current system is being stressed by the changing demographic in a way, in the sense that I don't know, the spiel, we have a Center for Healthy Aging here in our area at the hospital, at the university hospital. So they are saying that the fastest growing segment of the population in our area is 90 plus. So that is actually, I mean, I'm not a demographer, but it would seem to me that that is a real dramatic change. And of course, as we march on into the future, our I like to use the high mileage vehicle, requires maintenance and care. And we have one system of maintenance care, which is pretty effective. All the drugs I was talking about, managing the chronic conditions, keeping you going, best level of functioning, yada, yada. Okay. That is one path. That is a very expensive path. And who ends up paying? Just like with the example of the increased cost of drugs to the insurance company, guess who ends up paying? It's the everyday life person who has worked hard all his or her life and try to do the right thing and is now actually aging and supposedly enjoying all of the benefits of this extra time. And many people are. There's no question of it. But what's it going to cost us? What's it going to cost us, especially, as I say, the cost always devolves back to the regular guy that goes to work every day, or girl or woman or whatever, and tries to do the right thing. So we're the camels that are keeping it all going. So you really, it's a problem because you're taking the resources of a generation. As a result, that's really what's happening. You are interfering with the intergenerational transfer of funds by having to fund the elderly the elderly who are being treated in this normal manner by the healthcare system. So that's sort of like a deteriorating, but not that deteriorating, just enough so that you remain a profit center for as long as possible. Now, I know, that's a very cynical perspective, but it really, the incentives are for treatment, for intervention, for specialty care, etc., and they work. So listen, I've been the beneficiary myself, so I'm not complaining. I do believe that this is, as with anything, the more options that you have, the more opportunities you have to decide your course instead of being forced into one option only. So check your Medicare coverage and see that it meets your needs. I'm struggling with that myself, but the Medicare.gov has a comparison tool. There's a lot of stuff out there, so I'm going to struggle and try to find out that, try do it myself. And also to find that video with the stats about the drugs, because it is too mind-blowing. It's totally mind-blowing. And then I'm going to start talking about what I feel we should be thinking about and doing differently. I can't help myself. So, greetings from the time traveler as we march on. I see that people are struggling and trying to find a way. So let's hope we can figure it out together. Bye now.